With this being Pride Month, and of course the main focus being LGBTQ, one of the things that a lot of people, have been pretty much posting, showcasing, if you will, in relation to it, is a lot of these LGBTQ couples. And ironically, and I say this with all due respect, no offense, all due respect, no offense, ironically, a majority of them are the LGBTQ lesbian type. But which ones are the lesbian types? Which ones are the most popular, if not the most showcased? Well, I have 5, not in any particular order, not a top 5 or anything, but these are the 5 from what I can tell. These are the 5 from what I can tell that are acknowledged the most. And it's a surprise. It's really a surprise. Maybe not with some of them, but for some, it is. The first one, obviously, for any longtime fans, is Sally and Nicole from Sonic the Hedgehog, Archie Sonic, Sonic's at AM, but mostly Archie Sonic. And it's all due to the fact that there were a lot of moments pre-soft reboot and mostly post-soft reboot that kind of hinted that there might be something more than just, being BFFs, colleagues, whatever you want to call it, between the two. And a lot of fans have made that very noticeable. A lot of fans have pretty much come out and said that these two are meant to be. Even Ian Flynn, during his first Bumblecast podcast, acknowledged that he wouldn't have had a problem going there. And as a matter of fact, there were plans to potentially do it. But those plans were shelved. But when it comes to Pride Month, not just, for this month only, but for all the year round, when people are asked about animated, fictional, lesbian, LGBTQ couples, Sally and Nicole right at the top. They are right at the top. But they're not alone in this category, because again, this is not a top 5 or anything, but this is just a 5 count, if you will, of the most talked about, the most looked at and discussed and supported, if you will. So yeah, Sally and Nicole is one of them. But there's another Sonic couple or pairing that's looked at the same way. And that pairing that's getting a lot of discussion, a lot of talk, is Whisper and Tangle from the new IDW series and from the mobile games as well. Yeah, these two are getting a lot of support when it comes to being LGBTQ. They're getting a lot of support, a lot of their interactions in the comics, especially at the end of the Zombot arc, when Tangle was restored and the way Whisper embraced her after she was restored. There's just a lot of evidence to the eyes of a lot of fans. And, Sega, IDW, if you will, they haven't come out and said whether it's true or it's not, but to a lot of fans, it seems very obvious that Tangle and Whisper have a bit of a LGBTQ romance going on, although nothing official in the comic has confirmed that just yet. But yeah, just based off what fans see alone, these two to them are definitely an LGBTQ couple. And they're getting talked about a lot, not just during this month of Pride, but throughout the years, since their existence. But they're not the only couple that gets talked about a lot during this month. Another one that gets talked about a lot during Pride Month and even before this month and even throughout the years is from Legend of Korra, and that is Korra and Asma, or Asmi. And this is one that a lot of fans that watched The Legend of Korra pretty much knew was inevitable. They looked at a lot of the signs, they looked at a lot of the hints and the moments, the Easter eggs that were pretty much indicating that something was there between the two, besides, friendship, colleagueship, if you will, respect. They knew there was something there that was more. And at the end of the series, the way it ended with both of them going into the spirit world together, hand in hand, and then looking into each other's eyes the way they did, was further confirmation. And then on top of that, after the series was over, the people behind it further confirmed officially that yes, these two were an item. They were an LGBTQ or LGBT item, if you will. And I think they even did some comics that continued the series, just like My Little Pony Friendship is Magic's animated continuities continued in IDW. They did the same for Legend of Korra for a while, and they pretty much capitalized on the LGBTQ relationship between the two. They highlighted it, from what I understand, in several ways. But yeah, Korra and Asmi, or Asmi, they're one of the more popular ones talked about during this month. But they're not the only ones. Speaking of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, probably the most obvious LGBTQ or LGBT couple from a lesbian perspective that was presented on the show almost from the beginning was Lydia and Bonbon. And fans knew this. They knew just the way they, just by the fact, basically, as I was trying to say, they knew this just by the way the characters were interacting with each other. The way they would, embrace each other, show affection, support each other. Fans knew that, look, this is more than just BFFs, hanging out together. There's more to this. And as the later seasons progressed, it became more obvious. And finally we get to the final seasons and the show staffs, you know what? We're not going to hide it anymore. We already established that Scootaloo has lesbian aunts who we finally visually saw in the series. They pretty much said, screw it, we can't hide it anymore, it's too obvious. And come season 9, we have a scene in the background of the Big Mac question, I think, of where Lyra and Bonbon are both simultaneously proposing to each other. And then, in the final episode, in a flashback, we see the newspaper clipping highlighting and talking about the wedding to each other. And then they're still with each other even in the future. So, yeah, Lyra and Bonbon, to me, is the most obvious, LGBTQ couple in an animated series, even before it was acknowledged. But they're not alone. They're not alone in that. Because there's one more that gets talked about a lot during this month. And that couple, or couples actually, are Applejack and Rainbow Dash, and Applejack and Rarity. And these are no lies. Equestria Girls, basically, and I'm using, hopefully, if I can find it, I'm using an Equestria Girls picture. Equestria Girls is the reason people support what they call Rarity. They support it because of the fact that there's too much evidence, not just in Equestria Girls, but in Friendship is Magic, to, pretty much pass over, pretty much, ignore that there is something more than friendship between these two. And because of that, they are looked at as being more than just friends. And Roller Coaster of Friendship, from what I understand, pretty much cemented that, if you know what I mean. But Applejack obviously seems to be very popular when it comes to LGBTQ, because Rarity is not the only one, because as you can also see, the other one she's paired with a lot, and the series pretty much left this up to interpretation in the last problem, Rainbow Dash. And this is something basically based off the fact of, as best friends, they had a friendly rivalry, always trying to top one another, at basically trying to see who was better at certain tasks or sports or whatever. And apparently all because of that, in the end, they ended up together. They ended up as an item, from what the show was implying or indicating. I mean, you look at Bronies react, and even they were like, "Are you serious?" They went there, So, yeah, Rarity and Applejack and Rainbow Dash. Can't say any more than that, man. Can't say any more than that. But, yeah. Yeah, the reason I'm ending it with a tie, if you will, with the fifth one, a tie, because you can't talk about Applejack with Rarity without talking about Applejack with Rainbow Dash or vice versa. So that's why I'm kind of ending it on a tie, as this being the fifth other couple tied together, the fifth other, basically both. Simultaneously as the fifth pairings together. So yeah, I just wanted to do that because if you're a fan of animation, comics, whatever, these pairings, especially at this time of year, this month, are the most talked about. They are the most talked about. They are the most, cheered and beloved. And you can't get any better than that, I guess, if you're part of the LGBTQ community. But let me know what you guys think. Do you agree with the 5 pairings that I named? Did I miss any? Let me know down below in the comments and the live chat during the premiere. And I will talk to y'all later.